right. It is Hello Again Wednesday, number 37. And hey, hello to everyone out there that is tuning in right now and watching live. I'm glad that you're going to be checking this out, maybe even checking it out later. You can check it out on my page, on the church Facebook page, Culver City Church of God Ministries, or you can also check it out on the YouTube pages. I have my own personal page on YouTube, and I also have, there's also the Culver City Church of God has a YouTube page, and you can check these Hello Again Wednesday segments out on those or on our website. I do try to make sure it stays on there for the week at least, down at the bottom of the page at culvercitychurchofgod.org. And so, for Hello Again Wednesday, number 37, it was a little difficult. I have to admit, I was going into this. Actually, I got up very early this morning, and it was tough. I actually had nothing. I was thinking about it for a couple days. Going, man, I was looking at certain things, and just nothing was hitting me, and I was bombarded by other things. And then I really wanted to talk about those things that I was bombarded with, but I chose not to do that, at least maybe not as a Hello Again Wednesday. Maybe I'll do an extra. I don't know. I just chose not to do it in these moments. Thank you, Connie, for her restraining wisdom that helped me out. Maybe what I'll do, I do a lot of times, I transcribe out, or I write up a transcript. I write up my thoughts, what I want to say, in order to not forget anything. I usually don't say it as word for word. If it was to ever ask, hey, what do you have written? I don't usually say it word for word, such as right now. But I might have Connie read the one I wrote up early this morning and see what she says. I did, though, see a video segment this morning, actually, that really intrigued me. I've said, hey, I love this, and or this is my favorite. Well, I do have also a love, I'll say it that way, a love for racing. And I'm talking about the first ones that I really liked was the long-nosed top fuel dragsters, quarter mile or whatever. Just a cool car to just flames coming out the side, just drag strip racing, watching the lights come down, green light, boom, and they are off. And even in this segment, a lot of times these cars, another one of my favorites after the long nose was the funny car. I loved the funny cars. And just in case you don't know, it's not haha funny. They are just cool looking cars that they have running drag strip also, same thing. And then there's also Formula One and stuff like that. Those are really cool cars. Way back in the Andretti era and stuff like that, I was a fan. Foyt and stuff like that. And then there's the regular quarter mile drag strip cars too that I always enjoy. And a lot of times when you're doing the drag strip, off the gun, off the light, super fast, super powerful, and burnouts and all that stuff. And sometimes when you get going down the road, you have where the wheels are, the front wheels are just lifting off the strip. And so I watched this segment. I should have got the driver's name. Maybe I'll post it in the comments later. And maybe even the segment that I watched where the driver actually narrates what had happened. He has his car, he's on the starting line, the lights come down, it's green light, he comes off, and as he's narrating this race, he's talking about how he's first off the line. It's awesome to be first off the line. He's first off the line. He's in the lead. He's more power is coming, and because he's a professional, he knows exactly what's happening within seconds. And so within seconds, more and more power is coming. He gets up within seconds to 160 miles per hour. And just before he hits that 160 mark, as he's coming up to it and the power is increasing, the front wheels are coming off the strip and it does the bounce. And so, and they're professionals. They can know how to handle that. You kind of lose a little bit of time, but they can bring it back into control and finish that strip real quick. And he's doing that, and he hits 170 miles per hour. And It is just straight up, and the air catches it, lifts the car up off of the strip entirely. He is now airborne. He is narrating uh, this entire thing, and there is a camera in the cabin of the car, and it's looking right at him, and you just see wide-eyed as he's racing. He's got the bounce, it's airborne, he's looking now side to side to get his bearings where he is at in air. And then he begins to talk about some of his greatest fears, and one of them is, as he is airborne, his first fear is to not leave the lane that he is in and go off to the side, which is that grassy side far from and then you have the stands and stuff. And he does not want to go that side. And there's light poles and announcement poles, and that is very, very devastating and dangerous to hit. Obviously, deadly to hit those poles like that. And so, as he's airborne, and so that's one of his first fear, or any other obstacles, one of his first fears. The second, and he's narrating this, the second fear is that he also does not want to go into his competitor's lane, because he was already in front. He doesn't want to go into his competitor's lane and cause any kind of catastrophe with that car that's racing alongside him. He has that fear. And then as he is in this car, he then braces, and he's telling you, I'm bracing for impact and for the crash. And at that time, you saw the crash, you saw the race. Then now as he's narrating it, you're seeing all of this in slow motion. And so as you're seeing it all in slow motion, what's taken place then is that he hits the wall in his lane. Okay, the bottom of the car hits the wall. He's now in the crash. He's holding on. Actually, he lets go of the wheel, I believe, and the wheel is just going all crazy. He's holding on for dear life, and now the car flips, and now it's sliding in his lane on its roof, and flames start to erupt, and then it comes to a stop. And as he's talking about the narration of this event that's taken place, he tells you his greatest fear is to die in a blaze of fire in his car. And so what he's now doing, and you're still seeing this, I'm telling you, when he's looking side to side and eyes, you're seeing all of this. And then he's telling you how, they have these safety straps. So he's trying to release the safety straps upside down. He calls it falling like a sack of potatoes. He falls to the roof, and then he can't get the door open. He's frantic as he's describing this crash that he's just in. He's frantic. The flames are oh, it even had a part where he still talks to the to the pit. I'm on fire. I need help. Get me out of here. And that's in the conversation. It's in one of the tapings. And so then he goes, I don't know what happened or how. I might have probably just kicked that door open, and I got out. And what takes place now, you have also not only inside the pit of the car, the cabin of the car, you also have the outside of what was taking place. And so you see all of the emergency vehicles, the EMTs and stuff. He gets out of the car upside down, and even though he's injured, he bolts from it's on one side of his lane. He bolts across the lane and actually knocks over an EMT that's coming to his aid, to his rescue. He knocks her over, and he gets to the end, to the other side. And then it shows also where he's sitting on the ambulance. He's telling everyone he's okay. But it is one of his greatest fears to be burnt alive. And so as he's describing this and stuff, he also says this, and even in our fear and the things that are happening, he says this: I really need to go back to that lady and just say I'm sorry for knocking her over. Can you imagine? His greatest fear had overcome him, yet he still has within him to go and speak to the EMT that he had knocked over. Fear is powerful. It is scary even. I think I told stories. I was joking with my dad the other day, a couple weeks ago or something, about that shotgun story. I'm not going to go through that again. But, there's fears. there's doubts, there's disappointments. But I want to say this today, though, that there is the other side. Okay. And so besides watching that video clip, I did come across an article in my inbox. I always get this one. I believe it's Jim Dennison, if I say his last name correctly. He writes a daily article. It's actually, that's what it's called. He writes the daily article. And so that popped up in my inbox early this morning, because it always does. And it is about the gymnast Simone Biles. And I hope I say her last name correctly. I know through a couple of years now, her name's been there. She is considered one of the greatest of gymnasts. And it was reported, I believe, yesterday or maybe 2 days ago now, about the Tokyo Olympics, where she's at, that she had pulled herself. And so I hope, bear with me as I go through some of this article on fear, disappointments, failures, and stuff like that, okay? She had pulled herself from the team all-around competition. And then she pulled herself from the individual all-around competition there at the Olympics. And it was said that it was due to a medical issue. And I'm just reading the article here, that it was that she then came back and clarified that due to medical issue. And you know what, and I'll talk about this in just a few minutes about who she is, a very courageous individual to say certain things. And so she comes out and she actually called them her demons, okay? And then she went farther with what that was, and it was the doubts, fear, insecurities, and pressure that she faces as a competitor. It had become too much. For me, I really hope that she gets to, especially feeling better as she is over there in Tokyo. And I know I'll say it at the end of this segment. And so, but the article that was really cool about it is it wasn't just that she pulled out, okay, and that's it. It delved into I have it in my notes here. She wrote a book called Courage to Soar, her autobiography, okay, and earlier on. And so the article began to go through some of those things that were recorded earlier, in her life, of her upbringing. And her upbringing was difficult. Her grandparents adopted her and her younger sister early on in life. She has two older siblings, and her aunt adopted those two older siblings, Simone's older siblings. At first, they were in foster homes, and so now they are in the care of their family in their upbringing. And through those years, especially with her grandparents, devout Catholics, brought her up in that Catholic upbringing. And it goes like this. In discussing her autobiography, Courage to Soar, she said this: I wanted to talk about family, competition, and things like downfalls and injuries, so kids can understand that I go through those things too. Kids today talk about faith, and I think it's okay for me to share my faith so kids can see how it helps you through the whole process. I might want to get this book and read it. I hate reading. I hate to say that out loud. I've said it before. I'll say it again. But what a great inspiration in her autobiography. She goes on with this. Her grandmother has encouraged Simone, or that's how this article goes with the book. Encouraged Simone to put her life and career in God's hands. And then I believe it quotes the grandmother this way: I am a very prayerful person, so I encourage my children to do the same thing, to pray. And I know it doesn't matter what situation you are ever in, you just put it in the hands of the Lord, and He's going to walk you through it. Simone has taken that lesson to heart. She testifies, I was taught that you can go to Him for anything, and He's the one who directs your life. Man, what a good, godly young lady. She saw God's hand in her success and also in her disappointments. And so this is how this autobiography goes. Such as when she failed to make the 2011 team. She says, I didn't make the national team, so I was super upset about that. But I knew that it was God's way of telling me that I needed to go home, train harder so that next year I could make it happen. So I believe that some obstacles that we've had always works out for the better, because God knows that without those, you wouldn't be as strong as you are. If there's ever quotes of the day, there's one right there. God knows without those obstacles, you wouldn't be as strong as you are. The writer of this article, in the daily article, says this about Simone. Simone Biles is right. God either removes or challenges or redeems them for larger purposes. He miraculously freed Paul from the Philippian jail. That's found in Acts chapter 16, one of my favorite books. But he did not remove Paul's thorn in the flesh. You know, that thing that was bothering Paul. Even though Paul repeatedly kept asking God to remove it. That's found in 2 Corinthians. Instead, God used that thorn or whatever it was to draw Paul into greater dependence on God. As a result, Paul wrote these immortal words found in 2 Corinthians 12:10. When I am weak, then I am strong. The article went on to say this: our performance-based society measures us by what we do and how well we do it. But God wants us to see our challenges differently, as opportunities to experience His grace, strength, and guidance. We can be self-sufficient or we can be spirit-dependent, but we cannot be both. That's easy to understand in my book. You're either one or the other. The ending of that article goes into another book. And in the book, Keeping Hope, Favorite Prayers for Modern Living by Michael Koist, Quoist, he writes this: don't refuse to acknowledge your limitations. To deny their existence doesn't make them go away. If they do exist, ignoring them would give them the opportunity to undermine and destroy your life. Instead, Michael writes this. He observes, your limitations are not simply obstacles to your success. They are also indications from God of the path your life is to take. Remember what Simone said? All of that is that path that she has. Like I said early on, I hope Simone feels better, and I hope she goes on to really represent our country well in the Olympics in Tokyo. And if she doesn't, pray for her, because of what for us, some of the difficulties and things that we go through, the world doesn't see it. In these days right now, the world has seen the difficulties, the doubts, the fears of Simone. So we should stand up for her and pray more and more for her, especially, no matter what the outcome. So, as I always do for Hello Again Wednesday, I do have question. Okay, and so I'm about to close out here, and so here's the question: what are your fears, your anxieties, your doubts, your disappointments? What are those things? Leave them in the comments. I'd love to read them and hear how you have overcome those things, or how you've gone through those things. Maybe you're even still in them. But maybe even some of those stories are how you see the path God has or had for you. Either way. Oh, I'd love to read those. In a few hours this afternoon, here at Culver City Church of God, as always, not as always, but most of the time, I am in my office. And if I was to spin this camera around, my office, it got a good cleaning the other day. So that I did. I had company. And so even though we met downstairs, I had company, and so Connie has taught me well when company comes, clean house. And so I actually, she'll be shocked. I really cleaned my office, and that's where I'm at right now. But we will have Bible study downstairs in person. We are starting the book of First Corinthians. In fact, Pastor Mark on Sunday was saying, I believe this is one of the oldest texts in the written in the New Testament. And so I might be wrong. So I'm coming to Bible study to see what we are going to talk about in our very first. First Corinthians is where we are at this afternoon. So, hey, if you can, join us in person or on Zoom. If need be, I can probably get you a link to that. We do have an individual that does the computer downstairs and does a Zoom link for us for that live Bible study with us, 4 p.m. Pacific time. And so you can try and hook into that too. Hello again, Wednesday, number 37. I hope everyone has a great week, a great weekend, and of all things, if you can't do it today, go ahead and check out a church near you. Hopefully I can get the right media source to give us a good outgoing. Let's see.